Barbara is also a One Young World ambassador. Actually, I met her this year in the summit in Munich. I had the opportunity to meet Barbara. Barbara is really active in Europe. Now Barbara is not only living, but studying in Europe. So I'm gonna give you some insights about her story. Well, Barbara is a volunteer student at the World University Service in Germany, where she conducts educational sessions in schools to explain sustainability, sustainable development goals, and the circular economy. This year, Barbara became a One Young World ambassador for Peru and was selected to take part of the leadership entrepreneurial building program Unite 2030. Barbara is the founder of Green Dreams, an organization creating an intercultural space for young Europeans and Latin American communities with the aim of boosting local communities' economies, providing high quality education and raising awareness of climate change. Barbara, you have the word.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Jason. Well, hi guys. Thank you for being here, for taking your time. And today I'm going to talk about climate change and its impact on indigenous communities with a focus in Peru. So, well, first I want to introduce the importance of local communities, of these indigenous people for us in Peru, but also for the whole world. So first of all, indigenous communities provide us agricultural practices resilient to climate change. These practices are adopted to changing climates. For example, we learn from our ancestors from the Inca kingdom, for example, how well developed these farming techniques were adopted to extreme weather, such as the terracing techniques in Cusco that prevent soil erosion or droughts. Also, they have climate change resilient foods like our famous Peruvian potatoes, oca, quinoa, corn, sweet potatoes, etc. They helping us with the conservation and restoration of natural resources. Indigenous communities, they represent only 5% of the whole world, but they take care of 80% of the world's remaining biodiversity and 22% of the Earth's surface. Also, they provide us with indigenous food, and just one second, they adapt and respect natural resources in the regions. So let's continue with some facts about, in Latin America, indigenous communities, they represent 50 million people of us with more than 500 ethnic groups. As you can see in the left corner, we can see that Mexico, Guatemala, Bolivia, Peru, with the except of the United States, are the 4 largest populations with more indigenous communities. And Peru has more than 4 million indigenous people, according to the United Nations. We have 55 different indigenous tribes. Most of them are Quichuas, Aymaras. In the Amazonian, for example, we have the Ashaninkas, among others. But not everything is perfect. Around 80% of children and teenagers and 50% of Amazonian ethnic groups lived in poverty. Also, less than 40% of children, they have access to safe drinking water, and the minority receive education in Spanish. So now I want to present you some of the climate change impacts, the major impacts I wanted to bring here to you. We have, first of all, the deforestation. We have extreme poverty and the forced displacement. For deforestation, everybody knows how important, how is the crucial role of trees in our world. According to scientists, scholars, we say that in Latin America, we have actually the lungs of the planet. So Peru in 2010 used to have 79 mega hectares of natural forest. Normally, it was around 61% of the whole Peruvian surface, all of these natural forests. But after 10 years, we have lost 65% of all these trees. And this kind of situation causes extreme poverty, and we have a lot of connections. For example, most of these indigenous people, they live in rural areas and they depend on land and natural resources and to ensure, to guarantee their survival, to have employment, for their substances. So in the case that this deforestation keeps going on, so this it threatens their survival. So around, as I told you, around 50% of all the Amazonian ethnic groups live in extreme poverty. Actually, it's not only the main, also the main reason. We have so many problems also from the state. For example, they have lack of access in forms of for incomes, or lack of training and skills, so they cannot integrate in the market. They also suffer of discrimination in our own country. They are also limited access to the credits, etc. So all these problematics also leads to these forced displacements. So due to these sudden climate events, extreme weather conditions, or deforestation, they need to leave their lands, to leave their places, in order to guarantee better quality of life. So in these migrations, they suffer of discrimination for both reasons, because they are migrants or because they are indigenous people. They are also vulnerable for illegal migrant situations like trafficking or smuggling. So, but not everything is negative. Of course, we have some possible solutions, and I would like also to hear from you if you have any idea, or you have heard something about it. But I brought here for you 6 possible solutions that we can bring to our Peruvian government. So first of all, we have in the last century. Actually, I was in the COP26 last weeks ago, and it was for me very hard to hear how they are suffering right now due climate change, due this lack of responsibility of our government. So already 1 century they have trying to warn us how important it is to listen to them, because they have the knowledge what's going on with all these areas that they are living for many hundreds of years. So it is important that the communities, they participate in governmental policies, strategies, and environmental measurements from now. Also, the government needs to implement a stronger penalization to companies harming their ecosystems. For example, only in the past years, we had already 479 oil spills occurred in the Peruvian Amazon. Many people lost their homes, many people died. Another related solution is strict environmental measures and controls on companies operating in their territories, because we need more audits, we need more strong policies to control how these companies, maybe multinationals, maybe international companies, they are operating in these regions. So we continue with the next slide. Okay, for example, another solution could be better and to guarantee the human rights protection of all the indigenous people in Peru. For example, just in the last 2 years, 70 indigenous leaders, Peruvian leaders, just were killed, and most of them, they live under threat, because they are scared to say something about to go against maybe the government and say and speak up what are the real problems that are occurring, for example, in the Amazonian region. So another solution would be to ensure decent work conditions. As my colleague Gonzalo, I'm also working for the SDGs. I'm an ambassador also for the SDGs, the youth group that we are fighting for the SDGs. So also when I teach to all my students, I say to them, how important is SDG number 8? SDG number 8 is to guarantee decent working conditions, but not only for our indigenous people, but also for everybody. So I was reading some articles and how important it's to to innovate, to create more technological solutions, because we need to reactivate their economies. We need to empower these communities. So, for example, in Central America, they're already using some innovative agricultural solutions, because maybe their strategies, their techniques, they need also develop, but of course respecting all their traditions, all their the culture. And last but not least, we have one of the most important points is the Escazú Agreement. This agreement has three main pillars. First of all is the access of information for all the public, and this is for the whole Latin American community. Access of information about the climate problems. Public participation of every citizen in the whole policies making, and access to justice and environmental matters. It means that we can include also our indigenous people and all the knowledge in these kind of cases, in this kind of measurements, and of course for a better planet and to stop climate change. And thank you very much. I hope you have also questions. And also one thing I want to add in this last point, Peru didn't sign this agreement, so it's urgent maybe to make some pressure on this situation. Thank you very much.